Alright, another Blitz game against Michael 1971. Okay, let's go. Let's play Sicilian. And see what we get. Okay, closed. I think I'll play the Botvinnik system. I'm going to delay playing d6 as long as, well, I guess I should play it now. He's attacking it, so he wants queen d2. Let's put a bishop here. Start with this. Pretty standard stuff. So knight e7, he wants to trade bishops. I wonder whether I should be taking that or playing knight e7. Let's play knight e7. Here, I'll take it. And I like being flexible in these setups in terms of whether I want to castle long or short. So h6, controlling this square, you can take. I just have to be careful about castling short now when this opens up. Okay, let's play this, just controlling this knight's forward jumps. Now queen c7. Does he want to clamp? No. So knight d4, or should I take here? Maybe take here and the bishop's on the queen. Okay. Takes and g5? Or what? Okay, so this is a fairly pivotal moment. I think he wants to play f5, which would trap my bishop. Or no, I can just drop it back, but I still don't want to allow this clamp. So takes, bishop takes, knight e5. Yeah, that's reasonable. Let's go with that. Or maybe knight e4. Or I can castle long. But I kind of like the idea of just blocking this diagonal. So knight takes, do I take with the pawn or the bishop? Probably the pawn. And now he has some weak dark squares. g5, wow. What is this? So takes, bishop takes, bishop takes. It gives me the H file. I can also just block things, and maybe I should be blocking things. Hard to say. I can block things and then castle, play f6 later. Or I can just, honestly, I could just castle long here. And he takes. Yeah, do I block or do I take and open things up? Let's go block things. I think that's reasonable. If he ever pushes h4, I have this square available, so he really doesn't want to do that. I think he should be trying to play in the center somehow now. So he castles. We're both going to castle. I wonder if I can play this. I guess it doesn't really do much with king h2. Okay, I will also castle short. Game seems about equal here. c4, d4. Does he want to play d4 himself? This isolates his pawn, but he gets some nice squares, although my bishop opens up. So maybe I should just be playing a little bit more coy here and just developing my rooks to the center before initiating any concrete action. Later on, maybe I can push for f6, but don't want to do that straight away. I think maybe I should be trying for d5 under some circumstances, although then that opens things up and then my knight becomes a little bit loose. So maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe I should just be expanding on the queen side. b5, b4. So rook b8, b5, b4. Okay. Maybe queen b6, getting on this diagonal, hitting this pawn. Doesn't really do much. Let's go ahead and play this. I realize I'm stepping into this diagonal, but I think things are sufficiently gummied up along this diagonal. That's not going to be an issue yet. Okay, what is he trying to do here? I don't really know. He's moving his pieces away from the center, which doesn't make much sense to me. I am giving him the A file here, but I think it's worth it just to claim some space by expanding here on the queen side. So do I push? I push here. Let's start with this, kicking his knight away. Does he want to come into the center? then maybe I'd take it. No, he's just being very passive. So now let's maybe knight here, maybe d5. Here takes c3. Maybe I should be moving my queen somewhere. You know what, let's just go ahead and do it. A little bit down the clock here, so let's keep the pace up. Yeah, brings this knight right back. That's fine. Where's he coming? Not sure. Wonder whether f6 at some point. Let's just bring the knight in. If knight here, I think I should be taking that off. That knight's just too strong from d5. c3. Okay. I wonder whether this and coming into this square is something. Really not sure about that, but I'm going to play it just to try to play rook a2 and double on the a file and then kind of swing around. So the thing about this is it relieves the tension, so now he has more control over the center for d4. So d4, oh, he has d4, d5, right? Here takes. I guess I have to play knight c4 there, takes. Okay. I have to be very careful about this and my bishop being in range. But I also don't want to give him this square. Well, I need to make a move. So d4, I think I shouldn't be opening things up. I think I have to play knight c4 there straight away because I don't want his rook opening up opposite my queen. Oh, he can take here. Shoot. That's not good. So takes? What am I doing there? I think I have to play like bishop e5. Takes. Oof. That is ugly. Shouldn't have done that. Okay. Okay, well that's not good. Let's take now. Let's see how he wants to recapture. Maybe I should have taken. I think I will. Maybe it's not best. I'm giving up control of a2, but I do crash through on d4. Getting back a little bit of time here. So I'd like to be able to control this pawn. Thing is, he has this, which is a problem. But I have to play something. I think I'll take, give him the exchange, take on f4. Probably shouldn't have done that. But let's see how this plays out. I'm threatening c3 here. So bishops, or f3, f3, maybe just this. It's probably not a great move. I just need to control. Okay, I want knight here. Or knight here. Yeah, knight here looks pretty good. Opening up the bishop, attacking the queening square. So bishop here would be an interesting move. Okay, what's he doing? Check. I just step up. Ooh, I think that's a good move. Actually, I can just take here. Okay, I'll take this. Bishop takes, I'll give it check. Ooh, that was a dangerous pre-move with the queen possibly coming here, but this should be over now. Very ugly time scramble. Oof. Oof. Very ugly. Very sloppy time scramble, but let's take a look. At least at the opening. I assume towards the latter part of the game is going to be a wildly swinging eval, but oh wow, so I was actually, no way. I was actually in control most of that endgame, which is very surprising. I thought I was playing incredibly sloppily. So towards the latter point where I sacked the exchange, I'm curious whether that was, it must have been. Yeah, this pawn is just too strong. Okay, so he's just, yeah, his king is too exposed, and my knight plus this pawn is just well worth the rook. Yeah, because the rook is actually doing nothing. It's just trammeled. It's just stuck babysitting the promotion square of the a pawn. And meanwhile, my pieces are just very active, scouring down the open board here with this exposed king. My king is nice and safe behind my phalanx of pawns here. Yeah, that's a drawback of pushing all your kingside pawns. you do get space, but you also weaken your king, which, especially in a blitz game, is tremendously difficult to deal with. Okay, so let's see how I handle this close Sicilian. Bishop e6. So knight g6, I guess I can just play this straight away, but then he trades bishops. I know you can play like castles, f6. They're gonna try to rush you on the king side with h4 and h5 and taking the dark square bishop and just try to mate you with the queen coming into h6 and knight and rook bearing down the open h file. But you can play f6 and try to keep things close, and it should be stable enough. But you can also take here, and in some cases just castle long. So let's take a look. Here, let's say the queen drops back. Now you can castle. What if he just castles long? Then you get your own queenside play going, and it becomes a pawn storm, leaving the king in the center for the time being. Queen g7, rook f8. Let's say he just gobbles some pawns. Queen a5, and just keep the king in the center indefinitely. Yeah, so I have given. I mean, we've traded the dark square bishops, my nicely fianchettoed bishop, but I have really nice central control. This outpost on d4, and I think my play is coming pretty quickly too. -2. Okay, but I was playing a little bit more flexibly, I guess, with bishop e6. Sorry, I was just calculating there for a second. But this should be fine. So here, I was expecting f4. Oh, he does play f4. Okay, so after f4, knight e7, knight f3. Maybe I should just be plunking my knight in here straight away. He can't take because he gets forked. But I thought I'd focus on development and controlling some other sensitive squares. So I thought if this, maybe he just plays knight g5, and it's a little bit annoying for the bishop. Bishop e4, I get chased around, I have to come back. But now he kind of has what he wants. So maybe h6 is a little bit slow. Maybe I don't need to play that. And it does kind of weaken this light square structure. I don't think it was a great big deal. So a6, preparing b5, he clans with a4, seems reasonable. Queen c7, and now, yeah, as soon as he pushes g4, I think I should be taking here and not allowing him to clamp down with f5. Because if I ignore this and do, let's say, queenside castles, the idea is f5, and while I can preserve the bishop, this wedge here is just going to be very dangerous and very difficult to deal with, especially had I castled kingside earlier. So here I think it makes sense to capture that pawn, and now I have the vacant e5 square to work with as an outpost for my pieces. Yeah, so g5 here, interesting, just transforming this into a symmetrical structure and closing it. I was worried in some cases about giving him the f5 square, but I guess it's actually really hard for him to, or is it? I was thinking it's hard for him to get this knight here, but maybe this knight can route in via e3. Although maybe at that point I can just exchange it off with one of these minor pieces. So takes, 95, and the engine suggests taking here. I was going to take with the d pawn. Bishop takes, huh? So I guess if bishop takes h6, maybe I insert this check. The engine says like white's king is actually reasonably comfortable on d1, which is somewhat surprising. Or just sack the exchange for the dark squares. Now that's enterprising. That's very ambitious. I like it. Just castles long and play for the dark squares. I'm not sure if I believe it in the long term. I think this outside pass pawn plus the exchange, that might be difficult to deal with, but if I can conjure up some sort of mating attack or some sort of attack on the dark squares in the meantime. Yeah. Okay, so that's an interesting way to play. I decided to close things up, castle short, and now... Okay, so it's roughly equal on the clock here, both a little bit over a minute. Rook b1, playing for queenside expansion. Now this made no sense to me, moving backwards. You started moving all these pieces backwards. Knight comes into g1, knight comes back to e1 or to d1. Whereas I thought maybe here he should be moving forward. Yeah, we're putting the knight here. I don't understand, like, because this knight can always exchange it off for my e5 knight for one thing, but also it controls the central squares. So what's actually doing from g1 and or e2? I don't really get that. So in any case, it seems like this was a reasonable plan, extending with b5, b4, kicking the knight back, rook a8 to contest this open file, and here, yeah, here, should I be playing b3 or maintaining the tension or even capturing? Huh. Maybe instead of putting a pawn on b3, I can try to put a piece on b3. Yeah, c3 weakens b3, that's given. But instead of pushing past, maintain this tension, try to plant the knight here, I see. Yeah, that's annoying for him. Here, now I blast things open. Oh, this is interesting. Here, d4. Am I pushing for b3? No, I'm coming in with a knight. This is pretty sharp, actually. So he has a center, but I have a pretty raging initiative on the queen side. Okay, so nota bene for future reference, maybe just maintain that tension. Don't put a pawn there, but try to route a minor piece into the b3 square and use that threat to start an initiative. Yeah, because meanwhile, like things are blocked up over here, and he's not really doing much unless he's able to transfer the action into his central break with d4. Here, yeah, so here I was worried about d4, d5. Let's say d4. I think maybe earlier, maybe before this point. Here, b3. Yeah, instead of the rook move, d4. I think I should be taking and playing knight c4. Maybe knight c4 straight away. Basically, I just can't allow these pieces to get forked by d5, so I have to play with initiative somehow. And I wasn't sure what was happening here because there's so many options here, so many exchanges possible and move orders possible. And I had barely time to calculate all of it. I had 20 seconds. Yeah, so I just had to play some natural moves very quickly and just play by intuition without much calculation. So he does get his d4 thrust in, nice e4, takes, and he takes, giving me this passed pawn, which I felt dangerous, opening things up, taking the knight and taking the pawn. Yeah, it was a tricky decision to give up this light square bishop, which is kind of dominating over here on the queen side, and protecting my passed pawn, which basically is just trapping his rook. But I think I correctly assessed it's worth giving that bishop for the pawn, and now I can still use the light squares over here, and it opens up this bishop. This rook can come into play, and it did. I gave the exchange, happy with that. And as we saw, it was worth the exchange just for the play I got in comp. Ah, I could have taken here. Okay, but 5 seconds, just playing some natural moves. Then he dropped b2 pawn, and from there it should be over. Yeah, okay. Well, interesting close Sicilian. Thanks for the game, Michael 1971.